If you've watched Initial D, then you've probably heard of and listened to Eurobeat, and if you've been brave enough to listen to it while driving, then you or probably someone you know maybe or maybe not have crashed. Eurobeat was originally referred to as Italian disco in the late 80s. It didn't have too much of a strong electronic presence in its composition at this time period, but following a couple years later, the electronic influence started to begin, and a separation was forming. This separation had all the usual elements of high-energy Italian disco and British slide dance, but with added and exaggerated bass lines, synthesizers, and the occasional electric guitar. Eurobeat was a term created originally in the UK. Having gained much inspiration from Italo disco, the UK would formulate their own style into the genre that would top charts from renowned artists like Dead or Alive. This genre had some but not much exposure in US territories, unfortunately, at this time. The genre would then lose popularity and then be coined Eurodance and Eurohouse by the mid-90s, great examples being What Is Love by Hadaway and Better Off Alone by DJ.
Baby, don't hurt me no more. Baby, don't hurt me no more.
This separation has now become to what we know as Super Eurobeat. This subgenre will then find its success mainly in Japan, and then used for the high-octane series Initial D. While it is claimed that most, if not all, Eurobeat is produced in Italy, it is not certain if that holds full truth. Apparently, this genre will be incorporated in late 80s and 90s J-pop. Most artists were shrouded in mystery, but until this millennia, vinyl covers with their respective artists has become the standard. Eurobeat uses a harmonic and groovy combination of synth, brass, synth strings, drum machines, and electronic guitars, and of course the occasional use of cool sound effects. Apparently, a lot of the synthesizers used come from an instrument called the Roland JP8000 and the JP8080. The songs are all usually high tempo between 140 BPM and 160 BPM, cheesy lyrics, and catchy synth riffs that are short and to the point. Lastly, craftily placed 909 kicks create a nice fast-paced punch to keep up with the racing brass. These digitized instruments make up the backbone of Eurobeat, but songs like Back on the Rocks differentiates from this formula with organs. Eurobeat has many forms, but mostly the same idea applies. Vocals can be either male or female. The lyrics can range from love, cars, money, loneliness, and anything between. Earlier era Eurobeat was a bit slower than today's traditional sound. Modern Eurobeat can be off-putting to some because of the speed and energy this genre exuberates. The electronic-infused Italo disco made its sweep across some of Europe, but Japan took quite the liking to this style during the late 80s and early 90s. The Italians were producing the majority of Eurobeat and releasing it to Japan, while other Eurobeat producers from Germany were focusing on more mainstream genres like trance. Eurobeat would influence the club dance culture in Japan. This would become to be known as para para. Then soon later, Eurobeat began to lose its popularity. Artists like Dave Rogers, Miko, Dream, Mega, NRG Man, Go2, Marco Polo, and many others pioneered during the early and mid-90s with bangers such as Speedy Speed Boy, Killing My Love, and Dancing Queen. In 1990, a small import record shop in Japan by the name of Avex, with the help of renowned Eurobeat artist Dave Rogers, released the first Super Eurobeat compilation CD. Being revitalized by this compilation from Japan, several studios would adopt this genre into its anime and video games like Dear Boys and Dance Mania. Now, in the new millennia, more and more compilations with more modern sounds are being released, with over 250 plus compilation CDs known today. If you're in the US, there are several outlets other than eBay such as HMV and CD Japan. Since the release of Initial D, Eurobeat has made a significant mark on Japan and the US. Many spirited drivers, including myself, blast the upbeat and energetic music whenever the feel to drive fast emerges, to shave off that last second off of our imagined back road tracks or carve out a mountain pass. We all feel and imagine ourselves as drift masters who magically gain speed with our underpowered rice boxes. You'll find plenty of old and re-emerging Japanese videos with swift drifting and Eurobeat playing over them. These fast-paced racing songs inspired mostly late millennial and Gen Z folks to take their Miata Skylines, Hondas, and focus more on refined chassis dynamics and suspension geometry instead of balls-to-the-walls power. Not only that, but increasing power substantially on an underpowered car and keeping it reliable is quite expensive. A perfect opportunity for car enthusiasts to focus more on the slow but fast concept. Eurobeat has encouraged car enthusiasts to corner harder and risk their safety instead of comfortable straight-line speed. We'll most likely continue to see more enthusiasts post to your feeble attempts at drifting back roads with Eurobeat for a while. We will have plenty more tracks to choose from to continue to inspire us to drive harder. The transition from Need for Speed, which was our go-to source for fast-paced driving, has since switched over to tight driving from neon underglows and silly body kits. While NFS was fun for its time, I felt the series gave the wrong impression on what fast driving looks like. So, Eurobeat and Initial D is definitely a positive and noteworthy step in the right direction for the car community.